The crack of Tracy's shoulder hitting marble echoed through the Luminara Grand Plaza. Blood trickled from her temple as designer shopping bags scattered across the polished floor. Alex Cross stood over her, his face twisted with contempt, completely unaware that the woman he'd just assaulted was married to the most dangerous man in Singapore. Still pathetic, he sneered. Some things never change. What Alex didn't know was that Tracy's phone was already dialing, and the man on the other end, he didn't forgive, he didn't forget, and he was already on his way. If you love stories about justice, revenge, and powerful love, smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications because the story is about to get intense. 3 hours earlier, Tracy Rivera stood in front of her walk-in closet, running her fingers across rows of designer dresses. Each piece told a story: Chanel, Dior, Valentino, brands she'd once only seen in magazine pages when she was sleeping in her car. Now they filled an entire room in her penthouse overlooking Marina Bay. She pulled out a simple emerald silk dress, elegant but understated. Her husband, young Sim, appeared in the doorway, adjusting his Patek Philippe watch. Even in casual moments, Young radiated authority. At 34, he'd built an empire that stretched from legitimate real estate holdings to connections most people whispered about but never confirmed. "You're really wearing that?" Young asked, his Korean accent slight but present. "Tracy, you have a black card with no limit and you dress like you're still budgeting." Tracy smiled, slipping on pearl earrings. The simple studs had been her grandmother's, the only thing she'd managed to keep through the homeless months. "I like simple." Simple. Young crossed the room, tilting her chin up to meet his dark eyes. "You're the wife of young Sim. There's nothing simple about that." "Is that a threat or a promise?" Tracy teased. "Both." He kissed her forehead, then pulled back to study her face. "You're planning something. I can always tell." Tracy's eyes widened innocently. "I'm just going Christmas shopping." Young's lips curved slightly. "The shopping bags I saw you hiding in the guest room yesterday, those were for Christmas too?" She laughed, caught. "Fine. I've been visiting a women's shelter, buying gifts for the children there. I wanted to surprise you with something bigger, but you're too observant." Young's expression softened in a way few people ever witnessed. "How long?" "For months. Every Tuesday." Tracy bit her lip. "I know you worry about security, but I needed to do something meaningful. These women, Young, they remind me of who I was. Broken, scared, thinking there's no way out." He was quiet for a moment, then said, "Take Lee and Chan. Non-negotiable." Tracy sighed. "Young, I'm going Christmas shopping, not to a war zone." His expression hardened slightly. "In my world, everywhere is a potential war zone, especially for you." His voice softened. "You're not just my wife, Tracy. You're my weakness. Anyone who wants to hurt me knows they can do it by hurting you. Please, for me." She touched his face, feeling the tension in his jaw. "Okay, but they stay 20 feet back. I'm not shopping with bodyguards breathing down my neck." "Deal." Young's phone buzzed with an urgent message. He glanced at it, his expression shifting to business mode. "I have a meeting until 3. Dinner at 7. Wear something red." "Demanding as always," Tracy said, but she was smiling. "Only with you," he replied. As he turned to leave, he paused. "Tracy, those women at the shelter, bring them here for Christmas dinner. All of them. The penthouse is big enough." Tracy's heart swelled. "You mean it? I married you because you have a heart big enough to heal the world. The least I can do is provide the space." He kissed her once more and left. Tracy gathered her bags, checking the contents one more time. Children's toys, books, warm clothes, all carefully selected. Inside were also envelopes containing gift cards to grocery stores. She'd learned that sometimes the most dignified help came in forms that let people choose for themselves. The drive to Luminara Grand Plaza took 30 minutes through Singapore's pristine streets. Lee drove while Chan sat in the passenger seat, both men trained to spot threats in crowds. Tracy watched the city pass by, still sometimes unable to believe this was her life now. The mall was breathtaking during Christmas. Crystal chandeliers caught the light from massive Christmas trees, their ornaments probably worth more than most people's cars. Luxury boutiques lined every corridor, their windows displaying dreams wrapped in silk and leather. Holiday music drifted through the air, mixing with the soft murmur of wealthy shoppers. Tracy wandered through the stores, Lee and Chun maintaining their promised distance. She was examining a cashmere scarf in Burberry, thinking it would be perfect for Mrs. Kim at the shelter, when she saw what she thought was a mirage. Alex Cross. Her blood turned to ice. The scarf slipped from her fingers. 3 years. 3 years since she'd seen that face. The face of the man who'd taken everything from her. Her savings, her apartment, her dignity, her baby. The man who'd left her pregnant and homeless on the streets of Seattle. Who'd laughed when she'd begged him to just give her back enough money for food. Alex looked prosperous now. More than prosperous. He looked like he'd stepped out of a Forbes magazine. Expensive Armani suit that probably cost $5,000. A Rolex Daytona on his wrist that Tracy now recognized as worth at least $30,000. A beautiful woman clinging to his arm, her neck dripping with diamonds that caught the light. Tracy's instinct was to run, to hide, to become invisible the way she'd learned to do when she was homeless, trying not to draw attention from people who might hurt her. But her legs wouldn't move. She was frozen, transported back to the worst year of her life. Then Alex saw her. His eyes widened in recognition, then narrowed with something darker. Contempt. Disgust. He said something to the woman beside him. Vanessa, Tracy would later learn, and walked straight toward her with the confidence of someone who'd never faced consequences for anything. Well, Alex said loudly, deliberately drawing attention from nearby shoppers. If it isn't Tracy Houston, still shopping at the discount racks. Tracy's throat tightened. The name Houston felt like a slap, her maiden name, from before she'd met Young, before she'd become Tracy Sim. It's Rivera now, and I'm just shopping. Rivera. Alex laughed, the sound cruel and sharp. What, you married some convenience store owner? Still aiming low, I see. Though I guess that's an upgrade from sleeping in your car. His girlfriend Vanessa joined them, her expression curious and slightly amused. Is this her? The one you told me about? Yeah. Alex's smile was vicious, performative. He was enjoying this, Tracy realized. Enjoying having an audience. The one who faked a pregnancy to trap me. Tried to guilt me into staying with some sob story about being broke. Pathetic, really? Tracy's chest constricted. She hadn't faked anything. She'd lost their baby at 16 weeks. A little girl, the ultrasound had shown, because she couldn't afford the blood pressure medication the doctor prescribed, because she was sleeping in her car in January, eating 1 meal a day from the dollar menu, her body shutting down from stress and malnutrition. But she'd never told Alex about losing the baby. The pain had been too raw, too enormous to share with the man who'd caused it. I never faked anything, Tracy said quietly, her voice barely above a whisper. Sure. Alex stepped closer. His cologne was overpowering, something expensive that probably cost more than Tracy used to make in a month. You were always a liar, a manipulator, always playing the victim. I dodged a bullet leaving you. Vanessa giggled, a high-pitched sound that felt like nails on Tracy's exposed nerves. She does look a bit desperate. That dress is what, 2 seasons old. Tracy glanced down at her emerald silk dress. Actually a Valentino piece from the current season that cost $8,000. But it was understated, elegant without obvious logos. To people like Vanessa, who wore their wealth like armor, it must have looked plain. Lee moved forward, his hand instinctively moving toward his jacket where Tracy knew he kept a weapon. But she subtly waved him back. She wanted to leave with dignity. She wanted to just walk away, to not let Alex see that he still had the power to hurt her. Excuse me, Tracy said, her voice steadier now. She tried to step around Alex. He grabbed her wrist, hard. His fingers dug into her skin with deliberate cruelty. We're not done talking. Let go of me. Tracy's voice was steady, but her heart hammered against her ribs. She could feel Lee and Chun moving closer. Make me? Alex sneered. What are you going to do? Call the police? Tell them your ex-boyfriend won't let you leave? They'll laugh at you, just like I did when you begged me for money. Lee stepped between them instantly, his voice low and dangerous. Sir, remove your hand. Now. Alex's own bodyguard, a hulking man in a tight suit who looked more like a bouncer than professional security, shoved Lee backward with unnecessary force. Back off. My client can talk to whoever he wants. The situation escalated in seconds. Chun moved to intervene, his training evident in the economical way he moved. Alex's bodyguard threw a punch. Chun blocked it easily, but the movement caused nearby shoppers to scream. Mall security came running, their radios crackling with urgent calls for backup. In the chaos, Alex did something unforgivable. He shoved Tracy. Not a gentle push. A deliberate, violent shove that sent her stumbling backward. Her Louboutin heel caught on the polished marble. She felt herself going down, tried to catch herself, and failed. Her shoulder slammed into the base of a massive decorative column. Pain exploded through her body, white-hot and all-consuming. Then her head struck the edge of the marble base. She heard a crack. Whether it was the marble or her own skull, she couldn't tell. Blood trickled down her temple, warm and wet. The mall went completely silent. Even the Christmas music seemed to stop, though that might have been due to Tracy's ears ringing. Alex stared down at her, and for a moment, just a fraction of a second, something like regret flickered across his face. Then his expression hardened again, his pride refusing to let him show weakness. Always were clumsy, he scoffed, but his voice lacked its earlier confidence. Tracy's phone rang in her purse, the sound jarring in the sudden silence. Lee was at her side instantly, his face furious as he retrieved it. He glanced at the caller ID and his expression shifted from anger to something almost like relief. He handed the phone to Tracy. The caller ID read, Young. Her hand trembled as she answered. Hello, Tracy. Young's voice was calm, too calm, the kind of calm that came before hurricanes. Are you hurt? I'm okay. Don't lie to me. I can hear it in your voice. Who did this? She hesitated. Part of her wanted to protect Young from this, from her messy past. But she'd promised him honesty. An ex-boyfriend, Alex Cross. There was a pause. In the background, Tracy could hear voices, the sound of a meeting being abruptly ended. Is he still there? Yes. Security has him. Another pause, longer this time. When Young spoke again, his voice carried a weight that made Tracy's spine straighten despite the pain. Put security on the phone. Tracy handed the phone to the head of mall security, a nervous man named Richard whose name tag proclaimed him assistant security manager. His hands shook slightly as he took the phone. Young spoke in rapid Mandarin, too fast for Tracy to follow completely, but she caught enough words to understand. Lockdown. No one leaves. Owner's orders. Richard's face went progressively whiter with each second. He nodded repeatedly like a bubblehead. Said yes, sir, for times in increasingly desperate tones, and practically threw the phone back to Tracy. What did you tell him? Tracy asked Young, though she already suspected the answer. To lock down the plaza. No one leaves. I'm 10 minutes away. His voice dropped, becoming softer but somehow more dangerous. Tracy, I need you to trust me. Can you do that? Always. Good. Stay with Lee and Chin. Don't let that man out of your sight. And Tracy, I love you. Remember that for what comes next. The call ended. Richard immediately barked orders into his radio, his voice cracking with stress. Within 60 seconds, every exit had security posted. The decorative shutters, designed to look elegant but built to withstand forced entry, began lowering over the entrances with a mechanical hum that sounded ominous. Shoppers looked around in confusion. A few tried to leave and were politely but firmly turned back. Alex looked confused, then annoyed. What the hell is going on? Vanessa clutched his arm, her earlier amusement gone. Alex, I want to leave. This is weird. They're not letting anyone leave, Richard said nervously, sweat beading on his forehead. Orders from the owner. The owner? Alex scoffed, his confidence returning. He was used to getting his way, Tracy realized. Used to his father's money and name opening every door. Tell him I'm Alex Cross. My father owns Crosswell Investments. We manage over $2 billion in assets. We don't get locked in anywhere. Richard said nothing. He just looked at his watch and took 3 steps backward. Lee helped Tracy to a nearby bench, his touch gentle despite his obvious fury. Chun appeared with a first aid kit from somewhere, applying a bandage to her temple with practiced efficiency. Tracy's hands shook, not from fear, from something else, something darker that she'd buried deep 3 years ago. Relief, maybe, or revenge, because she knew what was coming. Young was coming, and Alex, for all his wealth and arrogance, had no idea what he'd just unleashed. "Ma'am," Lee said quietly, "Mr. Sim will want to handle this personally. It might be intense." Tracy looked at him. Lee had been with Young for 7 years. He'd seen things, done things that he never spoke about. If he was warning her, it meant Young wasn't coming with finesse. "I know," Tracy said. 8 minutes later, because Young had driven faster than the 10 minutes he'd promised, 3 black Mercedes SUVs pulled up outside Luminera Grand Plaza. The vehicles were identical, windows tinted so dark they seemed to absorb light. The doors opened in perfect synchronization, and young Sim stepped out. He was dressed in a charcoal Tom Ford suit that probably cost $15,000. His dark hair perfectly styled despite the speed he'd obviously traveled. His expression was unreadable, a mask of cold control that Tracy had only seen a handful of times. Behind him, 6 men in matching black suits emerged like shadows. They weren't carrying visible weapons, but their presence radiated danger in a way that made nearby pedestrians cross the street. Young walked through the main entrance like he owned it. Because he did. Luminera Grand Plaza was one of 47 properties in his real estate portfolio, though most people didn't know that. He preferred his ownership to be hidden behind layers of corporate structures. The crowd parted instinctively, creating a path. Whispers rippled through the mall like wind through grass. "Is that young Sim? Oh my God. It is. Why is he here? Did you see those men with him? Someone's in trouble." Young's eyes scanned the plaza with predatory focus until they found Tracy. His expression cracked for just a moment. Concern, fury, love, something almost like fear, before returning to cold steel. He crossed the distance in seconds, his shoes clicking on marble with the rhythm of a countdown. He knelt beside her on the bench, and suddenly he wasn't the dangerous man who controlled half of Singapore's underground. He was just her husband, worried and gentle. "Let me see," he said softly in Korean, gently turning her face to examine the cut on her temple. His fingers were impossibly gentle, barely touching her skin. "Does anything else hurt?" "My shoulder. I'm okay, Young. Really." His jaw tightened, a muscle jumping beneath his skin. "No, you're not." He touched her shoulder carefully, and Tracy winced. His eyes went dark. "Dislocated or broken? I don't know. It just aches." Young stood slowly, his movements controlled. He looked at Lee. "Who did this?" Lee pointed across the plaza where Alex stood surrounded by security, still arguing loudly with Richard. Still acting like this was just an inconvenience that his father's lawyers would fix. Young buttoned his suit jacket with deliberate precision. When he spoke, his voice carried across the entire plaza despite its rowdiness. That was power, Tracy thought. Not needing to shout to be heard. "Alex Cross." Alex turned. His confidence faltered when he saw Young walking toward him with 6 men in tow, their formation precise as soldiers. "Who the hell are you?" Alex demanded, but his voice lacked conviction. Young stopped 5 feet away. Up close, the difference between them was stark. Alex was tall and handsome in a conventional way, the kind of looks that came from good genetics and expensive grooming. Young was something else entirely, beautiful in a dangerous way, with eyes that seemed to see through pretense to the truth beneath. "I'm the man who owns this building," Young said calmly. "I own the bank that holds your father's business loans. I own the construction company that built your family's office tower." He paused. "I'm the man whose wife you just assaulted." Another pause, longer this time. "And I'm the man who's about to ruin your life." Alex's face went pale. "Your wife?" Young gestured to Tracy. "Tracy Sim, my wife of 2 years." Vanessa gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. "Sim? As in Sim Holdings? The Sim family?" "The same," Young said coldly. He pulled out his phone, tapped something with his thumb, and the massive digital screens throughout the plaza flickered to life. The Christmas advertisements disappeared, replaced by something else entirely. Alex's face appeared on every screen. Below it, text scrolled in 3 languages: English, Mandarin, and Malay. Alex Cross, real name, Daniel Crosswell. Embezzled $340,000 from Crosswell Investments between 2019 to 2021. Engaged to Vanessa Lim while maintaining concurrent relationship with Sarah Pak. Pattern of financial abuse documented across 4 separate relationships. 3 active fraud investigations spanning 2 countries. Trust fund established through grandfather's embezzled pension funds. The plaza erupted in shocked murmurs. Phones came out, people filming, posting to social media in real time. Tracy could see the hashtag forming already. #Luminaire exposure. Vanessa stared at the screens, then at Alex, horror dawning on her face. Alex? She whispered. Sarah Pak? You told me you broke up with her 6 months ago. You're engaged to me. That's not. Alex stammered, his polished facade cracking. That's fake. He's lying. This is defamation. Young tapped his phone again. Photos appeared on the screens. Alex with Sarah at a beachside restaurant just last week. Both of them laughing. Alex signing documents at a bank, the date stamp clearly visible. Alex with 3 different women over several years, the pattern unmistakable to anyone watching. I've had you investigated for 2 years, Young said conversationally, as if discussing the weather. Since the day I met Tracy and learned what you did to her. You see, when you marry someone, you inherit their past, their trauma, their enemies. I wanted to know who had hurt my wife. So I watched you, waiting, wondering if you'd ever become stupid enough to present a threat again. He smiled, and it was terrible to witness. You became stupid today. Alex tried to run. Young's men blocked him instantly, their movements fluid and practiced. Alex bounced off one man's chest like he'd hit a wall. Let me go, Alex shouted, his voice rising toward panic. You can't hold me here. This is illegal. False imprisonment. I'll sue you for everything. Illegal? Young's laugh was soft and utterly without humor. I'm simply exercising my right as a property owner to detain someone who committed assault on my premises until police arrive. He paused, tilting his head. If I wanted to involve police, which I don't, because police are messy. They ask questions. They follow rules. I prefer more direct solutions. Then what do you want? Alex's voice cracked. Young stepped closer, close enough that only Alex could hear his next words. But his voice carried to Tracy, and she shivered at the cold fury in it. You hurt the woman I love. You abandoned her when she was pregnant with your child. You stole her money, every penny she had, and left her homeless in winter. She lost your child because she couldn't afford medical care. His voice cracked slightly, the only sign of emotion. She almost died because of you. She was found unconscious in her car by a parking lot security guard. Another hour and she would have been dead. Tracy's breath caught. She'd never told Young that last part. Alex's face went gray. I didn't know about. You didn't care to know. Young cut him off, his voice sharp as broken glass. And today, you compounded your crimes by putting your hands on her again. By assaulting her in public. By thinking you were untouchable because Daddy's money has always bought your way out of consequences. He pulled out a tablet, the screen already displaying a document. So here's what's going to happen. This is a legally binding agreement drafted by lawyers who bill at $1,500 an hour. You're going to sign it. Every clause. Every word. He turned the tablet so Alex could see, but also held it up so the crowd could see he was presenting official documents. Clause 1. You will make a public apology admitting to financial abuse, emotional abuse, and assault. This apology will be recorded, notarized, and distributed to every major media outlet in 3 countries. I'm not signing that, Alex said, but his voice wavered. Young continued as if he hadn't spoken. Clause 2. You will pay Tracy $425,000, the original amount you stole, plus 8% interest compounded over 3 years. The money will be transferred within 48 hours. I don't have that kind of cash. Your trust fund is worth $1.2 million. You'll access it. Young scrolled down. Clause 3. You will enter mandatory therapy with Dr. Patricia at the Singapore Institute for Psychological Services. Weekly sessions documented and verified for a minimum of 2 years. Dr. Patricia specializes in treating abusers. She's very good at her job. Alex's hands were shaking now. Vanessa had backed away from him, her face a mask of disgust. Clause 4, Young continued, his voice never rising. You will accept a restraining order 500 meters at all times. Any violation at all, results in immediate criminal prosecution and the activation of Clause 7, which I'll get to. This is insane, Alex whispered. Clause 5, Young said calmly. You will make equal restitution to your other 3 victims, Sarah Adams, Michelle Park, and Amanda Rodriguez. That's an additional $1,275,000, distributed equally. They'll each receive $425,000. That's almost $2 million. I don't have that. Your trust fund is $1.2 million, like I said earlier. Your father will cover the rest. I've already spoken with Timothy Crosswell. Young showed him his phone. A text conversation with Alex's father, time-stamped from 7 minutes ago. Alex stared at the screen, his defeat visible in the slump of his shoulders. His father, who'd always protected him, had abandoned him in seconds when faced with Young Sim's threat. Clause 6. Young continued relentlessly. You will donate an additional $300,000 to the Phoenix House Foundation, a charity for financially abused women. Tracy is founding it. Your money will help heal the damage men like you cause. Vanessa ripped off her engagement ring, a massive 3-carat diamond that caught the light, and threw it at Alex's feet. It clattered on the marble, spinning before coming to rest near his shoe. We're done, she said, her voice shaking with fury and humiliation. My father will hear about this. Every word. You've disgraced my family by association. She looked at Young and bowed slightly, respectfully. Mr. Sim, I apologize for any role I played in this. I didn't know. Young nodded once, acknowledging her. Vanessa walked away, her heels clicking rapidly as she fled. Clause 7, Young said, and his voice dropped to something darker. If you violate any part of this agreement, any part at all, I will release everything I have on you to every business contact, every social connection, and every media outlet in 3 countries. Your father's company will collapse. The fraud investigations will receive every piece of evidence I've collected. Your mother's charity board will expel her when they learn where the initial funding came from. Your sister's engagement to Michael Cam will end when his family discovers the Crosswell fortune is built on embezzled pension funds. He stepped even closer, his voice barely above a whisper now. I will systematically destroy everything your family has built over 3 generations. Your grandfather's name will be synonymous with fraud. Your father will face criminal charges. Your mother will become a social pariah. Your sister will lose the man she loves. And you'll have nothing. Not even the satisfaction of martyrdom, because everyone will know exactly what you did. You're a monster, Alex whispered, tears actually forming in his eyes. No. Young's voice was ice wrapped in silk. I'm a man who protects what's his. You're the monster who preys on vulnerable women, who uses them and discards them like trash, who never faces consequences because daddy's money makes problems disappear. I'm not a monster. I'm just the consequences you've avoided your entire life, finally catching up to you. Alex looked at the tablet, then at Tracy. I'm sorry, he said quietly, and he might have even meant it. Don't apologize to me, Young said. Apologize to her, properly. On your knees. The crowd gasped. It was a humiliation designed to be public, to be remembered. Alex approached Tracy slowly. For a moment she thought he might refuse. But then he looked back at Young's men, at the screens still displaying his crimes, at the hundreds of people recording on their phones. He sank to his knees on the marble. Tracy, Alex's voice broke. Real emotion crossed his face. Shame, regret, something that might have been genuine remorse. I'm sorry. For everything. I was cruel. I was selfish. I destroyed your life and I didn't care. I told myself you were lying, that you were trying to trap me, because it was easier than admitting I was the problem. I'm sorry. Tracy looked down at him for a long moment. Part of her wanted to rage at him, to list every way he'd hurt her. But another part, the part that had survived, that had rebuilt herself from nothing, just felt tired. Sign the papers, Alex, she said quietly. Get help. Maybe become someone better. Because the man you are now, he's not worth anyone's time. It was the greatest dismissal she could offer. Not anger, but indifference. Alex stood shakily and signed the tablet with a stylus, his signature jerky and uneven. Young's lawyer, A severe woman in a gray suit who'd appeared from somewhere in Young's entourage witnessed the signature and notarized it with a portable device. "Done," she said crisply. "Legally binding in 3 countries. Transfer will process within 48 hours. Young looked at Richard, the security manager. "Call the police now. File assault charges. We'll need this documented for the restraining order. Press charges fully. I want this on his permanent record." As police arrived, their sirens wailing in the distance, Young wrapped his arm around Tracy, supporting her weight. "Can you walk?" "Yes." They moved toward the exit, Young's men forming a protective barrier around them. Behind them, Alex stood in handcuffs, his entire world collapsing around him as police read him his rights and photographers' cameras flashed like lightning. The last thing Tracy heard as they left was someone in the crowd saying, "He really did mess with the wrong woman." When they got back to the penthouse, Young drew Tracy a bath, adding salts and oils that would help with the pain. He helped her undress carefully, his hands gentle despite the fury still simmering in his blood. He removed his jacket and rolled up his sleeves, kneeling beside the tub as she sank into the warm water with a sigh of relief. "You knew," Tracy said quietly, watching his face. "About the baby. About everything." Young's jaw tightened, that muscle jumping again. "I had you investigated when we first met. For security reasons. I needed to know if there were threats, vulnerabilities, people from your past who might present problems. I found the medical records from Seattle, the emergency room visit, the miscarriage, the hypothermia treatment." His voice cracked. "I'm sorry I never told you I knew. I wanted you to tell me when you were ready." Tears slipped down Tracy's cheeks, leaving tracks through the tear stains already there. "I lost the baby because I couldn't afford the medication the doctor prescribed. Blood pressure medication. $50 at the pharmacy. I had $12 to my name. I was sleeping in my car in a Walmart parking lot. I was eating 1 meal a day from the dollar menu. The stress." She sobbed, her shoulders shaking. "I killed my own baby." "No." Young's hands cupped her face, forcing her to look at him. "Alex killed that baby. Poverty killed that baby. A system that charges $50 for medication that costs $3 to manufacture killed that baby. A society that lets you sleep in your car while billionaires argue about tax rates killed that baby. But you survived. And that baby, wherever they are, would want you to live. Not just survive. Live fully. Love completely. Build something beautiful from the ashes. That's how you honor their memory." "I feel guilty," Tracy whispered. "I have everything now. This penthouse, money, you, safety. And sometimes I lie awake at night thinking about that baby, wondering who she would have been. She was a girl the ultrasound showed. I was going to name her Grace." "Grace," Young repeated softly. "It's a beautiful name. And I couldn't save her. You were doing everything you could. You were working 2 jobs while pregnant. You were looking for housing. You were trying to eat enough. You were surviving an impossible situation. That baby knew you loved her. That baby knew you tried. And if there's any justice in the universe, she knows you're safe now. She knows you're loved. She knows you turned your pain into purpose." "Trauma doesn't expire," Tracy said, repeating words her therapist had once told her. "No," Young agreed firmly. "You don't have to be over it. You don't have to forgive yourself yet. You don't have to stop grieving. But you're not alone anymore. You carry this, we carry this. Together. Your pain is my pain. Your trauma is my trauma. That's what marriage means to me." Tracy pulled him into the bath, suit and all. He didn't protest, didn't worry about the Tom Ford suit that cost more than most people's monthly rent. He just held her, water soaking his expensive clothes, her tears mixing with bathwater. Both of them silent in shared grief for a baby neither had known but both mourned. "I love you," Tracy whispered against his neck. "I love you more than I knew I could love anyone," Young replied. "That's why I can't let anyone hurt you. Ever. Do you understand? It's not about control. It's about love so consuming that the thought of you in pain physically hurts me. I would burn the world to keep you safe." "I know," Tracy said. "I saw it today. The way you looked at Alex. You would have killed him if it served me." Young didn't deny it. "In a heartbeat. But you're worth more than making me a murderer. You're worth building something better. That's what we'll do. They stayed in the bath until the water turned cold, until Tracy's fingers pruned, until the adrenaline finally wore off and exhaustion took its place. The next morning, Tracy woke to her phone exploding with notifications. The sound was overwhelming. Pings, buzzes, alerts creating a symphony of modern attention. The incident at Luminera had been filmed by dozens of shoppers from multiple angles. Within 12 hours, it had been edited, captioned, and gone viral. 12 million views, 20 million, 30 million. The number kept climbing. The comments overwhelmed her as she scrolled through them. Young sitting beside her with coffee, his hair still damp from the shower. He messed with the wrong woman. Young Sim defending his wife is everything I didn't know I needed today. Alex Cross is officially done. Cancelled. Destroyed. Good. This is what real love looks like. Not flowers and chocolate, but protection and consequences. I'm a survivor too. Watching this made me feel less alone. The way he got on his knees? Justice. Yes. Young sat beside her with coffee, scrolling through his own phone. He was dressed casually now, black slacks and a simple white shirt, but he still looked like he could command armies with a glance. Your email, he said quietly, handing her his tablet. Check it. Tracy opened her inbox. Among the hundreds of messages from strangers offering support, media requesting interviews, and lawyers offering services, one stood out. The sender was Danny Hilfiger, one of Alex's other victims whose name had appeared on those plaza screens. The email read, Hi Tracy, you don't know me, but Alex Cross destroyed my life 2 years ago. He took $87,000 from me. My entire savings that I'd built working 3 jobs through college. He convinced me to invest it in a business opportunity that never existed. When I confronted him, he had me escorted from his office by security. I filed a police report but didn't have enough evidence. I became a journalist partially because I wanted to learn how to expose men like him. I'd like to interview you about financial abuse patterns. Would you be willing? I think together we can help a lot of women understand the warning signs. Please, let me use my platform to amplify your story. Danny Hilfiger, investigative journalist, Singapore Tribune. Tracy looked at Young. Should I? That's entirely your choice, Young said carefully. But I think you have a powerful voice. You survived something that kills many women, literally and figuratively. Use that voice. Help the women coming up behind you see the traps before they fall in. Tracy replied with shaking fingers. Yes, let's help them together. When can we meet? The response came within minutes. Today? My office at 3? Thank you, Tracy. You have no idea what this means. 6 weeks passed in a blur of activity. Tracy gave the interview, which became a 5-part series in the Singapore Tribune. Other women came forward, 8 more victims of Alex Cross, spanning 7 years. The pattern was identical. He targeted women who were vulnerable but ambitious, gained their trust, extracted money through various schemes, then discarded them when they had nothing left to give. The money from Alex arrived exactly 48 hours after he signed the agreement. $425,000 appearing in Tracy's account with the notation restitution payment per legal agreement. Tracy stared at the bank statement for a long time, feeling nothing. The money couldn't buy back what she'd lost, but it could build something new. I want to do something with this, she told Young over dinner one evening. They were on their balcony, the Singapore skyline glittering below them like grounded stars. Like what? A foundation for women like me. Women who've been financially abused, who need a safe place to rebuild. Housing, job training, legal help, therapy. A place where they don't have to choose between safety and eating. Where they can heal without worrying about rent. Young set down his wine glass, his expression thoughtful. Tell me more. Most shelters can only keep women for 30 to 90 days. That's not enough time. It takes months, sometimes years, to rebuild from financial abuse. I want long-term housing, 6 months minimum, up to 2 years if needed. And not just housing, comprehensive support, resume building, interview coaching, childcare so mothers can work or go to school, legal aid for divorces and restraining orders, therapy for trauma, everything that I wish I'd had. It's ambitious, Young said, and expensive. I know, but I have $425,000 to start. And I thought maybe we could fundraise or, Young interrupted gently. I could do more than help. He pulled out his phone and showed her a document. I'm donating the Luminera Grand Plaza building. Tracy's jaw dropped. Words failed her completely. She stared at the document, a property transfer agreement with her name listed as the recipient. Young, that building is worth $89 million in current market value. Young finished calmly. It'll become the Phoenix House Foundation headquarters. The retail spaces on the first 3 floors will remain commercial. That revenue will fund operations in perpetuity. The upper 5 floors will be converted. Housing for 50 families. Medical clinic. Legal clinic. Child care center with certified teachers. Job training facilities with computer labs. Counseling center with private therapy rooms. A library. A garden on the roof where residents can grow vegetables and just breathe. Tracy couldn't speak. Tears streamed down her face, blurring the city lights into abstract art. The architects are already drawing plans, Young continued. We'll need your input on everything. What do these women need? What would have helped you? Build your dream, Tracy. Build the fortress where other phoenixes can rise from their ashes. She kissed him, hard and desperate, tasting wine and love and the salt of her own tears. How did I get so lucky? Luck. Young pulled back, his eyes intense. No. This is what happens when 2 survivors find each other. When 2 people who know what darkness looks like decide to build light. You survived hell. I grew up in hell. Together, we make heaven for people who need it. The Phoenix House Foundation opened on a cold February morning. The Singapore winter mild but crisp. Media lined the street. Not just local outlets but international press. Tracy's story had resonated globally. The hashtag Phoenix Rising had trended for 3 days. Tracy stood at the podium, her voice steady despite her nerves. She'd practiced the speech for weeks, but now, looking out at the crowd, at the reporters, at the 50 women who would be the foundation's first residents, at Young standing in the front row with that slight smile that meant he was proud, she felt the weight of the moment. 3 years ago, I lost everything, she began, her voice carrying across the crowd. I was homeless, pregnant, and alone. The man I trusted had stolen my money and disappeared. I lost my baby, a daughter I was going to name Grace because I couldn't afford $50 for medication. I slept in my car through a Seattle winter. I ate 1 meal a day. I genuinely believed my life was over. She paused, letting the words settle. But it wasn't. It was beginning. I just couldn't see it yet. And now, I want to offer that same beginning to every woman who thinks she's at the end. Every woman who's sleeping in her car tonight. Every woman who's choosing between feeding her children and feeding herself. Every woman who believes she deserved the abuse because that's what her abuser told her. The crowd was silent, hundreds of people hanging on every word. This building represents more than shelter. It represents possibility. It represents the truth that your past doesn't define your future. That surviving isn't enough, we deserve to thrive. Behind me is a place where women can rebuild not just their lives, but their sense of self-worth. Where they can remember that they are not the worst thing that happened to them. They are the strength that carried them through it. The applause was thunderous. Danny Hilfiger stood in the front row beside Young, tears streaming down her face. The other victims of Alex Cross were there too. Michelle, Amanda, and 5 others who'd come forward. They'd all received their restitution payments. They were all healing. The first resident moved in that afternoon. A woman named Mina with 2 children, a boy of 6 and a girl of 3. Tracy helped her unpack in a furnished 2-bedroom apartment with a full kitchen, new furniture, and windows that looked out over the city. I saw your video, Mina said quietly as they arranged books on shelves. The one from the mall. You made me believe I could leave him. My husband, he took all my money, all my credit cards. He monitored every purchase. I couldn't even buy groceries without explaining why I needed each item. When I said I was leaving, he laughed and asked where I thought I could go with no money and 2 kids. But I remembered your face in that video, how you'd survived. So I took my kids and got on a bus with $73 and came here. To Singapore. Because you were here. Because if you could rebuild, maybe I could too. Tracy's throat tightened with emotion. You can, she said firmly. And now you have. You're safe here. Your children are safe. and we're going to help you build a life where you never have to ask permission to exist. The little girl, shy and wide-eyed, tugged Tracy's sleeve. Are you the princess from TV? Tracy knelt down. I'm not a princess, sweetheart. I'm just someone who survived. Just like your mama. Mama says you married a prince. Tracy smiled, thinking of Young. I married a king, actually, but don't tell him I said that. His ego is big enough. That evening, Tracy found Young on their balcony, his usual position when he was thinking. He stood with his hands in his pockets, looking out over the city he'd conquered through intelligence, ruthlessness, and an understanding of power that most people never achieved. Thank you, Tracy said, wrapping her arms around him from behind, feeling the solid warmth of him. For what? For being my strength when I had none. For showing me what love actually looks like. Not just the pretty parts, but the fierce parts, the protective parts. For being dangerous enough to keep me safe and gentle enough to help me heal. For giving me the resources to help others heal too. Young turned in her arms, pulling her close. Do you ever wonder if we're too powerful? If we've crossed lines that shouldn't be crossed? Tracy smiled, understanding the question beneath the question. Young had destroyed Alex Cross thoroughly. Not just financially, but socially, emotionally, completely. Alex's father's company was under investigation. His mother had resigned from 3 charity boards. His sister's engagement had indeed ended. The Crosswell name was now synonymous with fraud and abuse. Every day, Tracy admitted. And then I think about Mina and her 2 kids, safe tonight because we had the power to build this. I think about the 8 women who got their money back because you forced Alex to pay restitution. I think about all the women who saw that video and realized they don't have to accept abuse. That's why we need each other. To remember what power is actually for. Not revenge. Justice. There's a difference. Young was quiet for a moment. Sometimes I'm not sure I know the difference anymore. I do, Tracy said firmly. Revenge would have been killing Alex. Justice was making him face consequences, forcing him to change, and using his resources to help others. You gave me justice, and I love you for it. I love you, Young said, and the words were simple but weighted with everything unspoken. Protection, partnership, possession in the best sense of the word. They stood together, wrapped in each other as the city breathed below them. Below, the Phoenix House Foundation glowed warmly, windows lit with new life, new hope, new beginnings. A month later, Tracy received an unexpected email. The sender was Alex Cross. She almost deleted it without reading, but curiosity stopped her. Tracy, I know I don't deserve to reach out. I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I wanted you to know I'm in therapy. Real therapy, not just going through the motions to satisfy a legal agreement. Dr. Patricia is helping me face what I did. To you, to Danny, to all of them. I'm learning about narcissism, about abuse patterns, about how I weaponized vulnerability. I'm trying to understand the man I became and become someone who deserves forgiveness, even if I never receive it. You didn't just get justice. You showed me consequences have power. You showed me that I wasn't untouchable. Thank you. Alex. Tracy showed Young the email. He read it carefully, his expression unreadable. What do you feel? Tracy considered the question honestly. Nothing, she said finally. I feel free. Like he's finally a person from my past instead of a weight on my present. Is that wrong? It's perfect, Young said. He doesn't deserve your anger or your forgiveness. He deserves your indifference. That's how you know you've healed, when they become irrelevant. Young kissed her forehead. Then he's finally gone. Tracy deleted the email without responding. Alex Cross had taken enough of her time, her energy, her life. He wouldn't get another second. That night, they stood on their balcony again. It had become their ritual, this quiet moment at the end of each day. Below them, the Phoenix House Foundation glowed with light and life. Tracy could see movement in the windows, women cooking dinner, children doing homework, lives being rebuilt brick by brick. Do you ever miss the quiet life? Tracy asked, leaning into Young's warmth. Never, Young said firmly. I'd choose chaos with you over peace without you every single time. You make me better, Tracy. You give my power purpose. Before you, I was just a man building an empire for the sake of building it. Now I'm a man building a better world for the woman he loves to live in. Tracy turned to face him. You know what's funny? 3 years ago, I was sleeping in my car, praying for a miracle. I thought a miracle would be getting my money back or finding a job or just surviving another day. I never imagined the miracle would be you. Would be this. Would be becoming someone who helps other women find their miracles. You were always that person, Young said. You just needed the resources to show it. That's what privilege is, not being better but having access to tools others don't. We have tools now. Let's use them. They stayed there, wrapped in each other, as the city breathed below them. Two survivors who'd found each other in darkness and built something extraordinary from their scars. A woman who'd risen from ashes like the phoenix her foundation was named for. A man who'd channeled his power into protection instead of domination. The phoenix had risen. And this time she wasn't alone. This time she was building a flock. If the story moved you, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our next story. Drop a comment below telling us what you think Tracy should do next with the Phoenix House Foundation. Should she expand to other cities? Focus on job training programs? Partner with corporations to guarantee employment? We want to hear from you. And if you believe in second chances and the power of love to heal even the deepest wounds, smash that like button. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Thank you for watching, and remember, your past doesn't define you. Your resilience does. You are not what happened to you. You are how you survived it. And survival? That's just the beginning. See you in the next story.